Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there and certainly preparing on what could potentially unfold over the next several hours into the overnight hours into tomorrow, which will be its own separate severe weather threat driven by the same piece of upper energy, but obviously two different time frames. And we're going to break those time frames up in this video. We'll talk about what could happen over the next several hours into the overnight hours in the first part of the video. Second part of the video we'll speak on tomorrow for your Thursday. Guys, I really think tonight, really over the next 2 to 3, maybe 4 hours, things could get really significant in regards to severe weather in northern Arkansas, surrounding regions also, but northern Arkansas is really going to be the trouble zone. I think we could have a significant tornado risk tonight for this region. Are we going to call it an outbreak? I never like to toss that word around lightly. Some people like to, some people don't. But I really think we're going to have some strong tornadoes tonight in northern Arkansas, right when the sun is beginning to set and probably after more so. So we're going to break it all down. Large hail, damaging winds, all hazards with this. Okay, this really escalated from this morning's video. It really did. So we're going to figure this one out for you folks. All right, just remember I'm making this video. I'm starting it off around 12 after 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, so around 5:12 in Central time. So some of this information, it's obviously going to be, we're going to be past this time frame is what I'm trying to say. So I'm trying to pump out this video really quick just to keep you guys aware of what can unfold. So with that being said, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. You guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below so I can do that and so others can do so too. We're praying for you folks for these areas that I'm about to talk about in this video. So let's break down what's going on water vapor really fast. And I'm not going to stay too long on this, but I do want to explain kind of what's going on. You see this energy right here diving down from the northwest to the southeast. This is our upper energy right here where I'm putting this check mark. This will continue to make its way further south. This is really helping to aid in bringing in a lot of ingredients for severe weather for this region right into here. And then whatever develops in this region later this evening will eventually work downstream into areas of the deep south states, Tennessee, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, North Georgia, all the way into the Carolinas as we're waking up tomorrow morning. But this is going to be the area right in here that has the big concern for very large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. Okay, so that's kind of what's going on. You can see the upper energy pretty well on water vapor loop. So you get off this, and we'll move on. We'll actually look at what's falling from the sky right now. We already got severe thunderstorm warnings up, and let's get this back in motion again. This is actually creating some flash flooding up here in portions of southwest Missouri and a very small section of extreme southeast Kansas. But this is kind of the starting point of these storms. We will watch this area right into here of Arkansas that will really get lit up with some nasty storms later on. We even got a severe storm right along the Red River and Oklahoma and Texas border. The HRRR model actually picked up on this little area of rain pretty well this morning. And here it is. We're getting a severe thunderstorm warning. We got some even rotating thunderstorms that are severe warn right now, not tornado warn as of right now. Even in northern Alabama, these are packing a punch, and it's just more so widespread heavy rain and a good chunk of Tennessee. But this is the area right here of northern Arkansas, basically the entire Ozarks, that's going to be the trouble zone as we work our way into the overnight hours. Now, before we get deep into this, I want to mention there is a big time high ceiling with this event, and then there's a low floor, meaning high ceiling means that this could be a high-end event. We could have a legit tornado outbreak here in the next several hours in northern Arkansas. The low floor of this is the fact that we don't have any tornadoes. I really think we're going to get a damaging wind threat regardless. But as far as that tornado risk, there is a very wide range of what could potentially unfold just because you have all this lingering convection around. So it's a tough one. So we could wake up in the morning to a lot of people saying, we didn't get nothing. They hyped all this up for nothing. They got everybody freaked out for nothing. If that happens, I'm saying, okay, well, that's good. That's good because we didn't get any tornadoes. Let's hope that's what happens, even though it's probably going to get some backlash from the local meteorologists. But it's a tough, complicated forecast for sure. So let's go on and talk about the Storm Prediction Center. As of right now, enhanced risk. This includes all of northern Arkansas, pretty much all the southern counties of all the southern counties of southern Missouri, the Boot Hill, Missouri. It includes basically the entire central and western half of Tennessee, portions of northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, extreme western areas of Kentucky, even a very small section of extreme southern Illinois. Enhanced risk up for this area, level 3 out of 5. Yellow is a level 2 out of 5. But you know how notice how this extends all the way to the Cumberland Plateau, Chattanooga, and almost all the way to Atlanta. This is what we're waking up to tomorrow morning. So the further you make your way east, the further in the time frame this is going to be. So all the storms over in this range is probably going to happen later tonight. And that's outside of the storms I saw going right now. I know it's kind of confusing because there's already storms going on right now, but that's not even the main show. This is our tornado risk, okay? The yellow, that is a 10% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in any given location. You see the black outline region inside of this yellow area with all the checker marks going in between it? That is a 10% risk of a significant tornado, which is considered an EF2 or higher. When you get into an EF2 or higher tornado, that can cause catastrophic damage. Okay, and there is not only a 10% risk of a tornado, but a 10% risk of a significant one. So take this serious. I know you're thinking, if you're new to weather, new to watching this kind of stuff, 10% don't sound like much, Mitch. I'm telling you, you got a 1 out of 10 chance, okay, to see a tornado. All right, that's significant enough. Take this serious, guys. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It's really going to get amped up after the sun goes down too. So nocturnal things, it's not good. This is our, let me make sure, this is the hail threat, okay? This really increased. All right, so when these supercells get going in southern Missouri, northwest Arkansas, if they have that supercell structure to them, meaning they're kind of discrete, semi-discrete, that means that they can really take advantage of the environment. All the environmental players out there, that means they got the highest chance to produce a tornado, highest chance to produce a large hail. So if this is really a discrete mode for an hour or two, that's when you're going to have your highest tornado threat and your highest threat for significant hail. So you got in the red, a 30% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter. And then the yellow is a 15% risk of the same criteria. But you see this black outline region right here with the checker marks going in between it, just like the tornado risk, that is called a 10% hatched risk of significant hail. So that means there's a 10% risk of hail exceeding 2 inches in diameter or larger in this region. That is considered significant hail from the Storm Prediction Center. But the wind threat, guys, is big. Oh, almost got a sneeze coming. The wind threat is big tonight, guys. Excuse me. Sorry about that. The wind threat is huge. Okay, you got in the red a 30% risk of winds exceeding 50 knots or higher. That's 55 to 60 miles per hour. And then in the yellow, that is a 15% risk of that same criteria. Okay, so big risk of when these storms do get going and kind of congeal into a line of storms, they could get very, very dangerous in regards to damaging winds in this entire red area. You got the black outline region. That means you have a 10% risk of significant winds, which is basically a 10% risk to see winds exceeding hurricanes force winds. That's 75 miles per hour or higher. Okay, I'm telling you, it's serious tonight. So as of right now, as of right at this moment, by the time some of you folks watch this, there'll be a brand new tornado watch issued for probably other portions of northern Arkansas. As of right now, you have a tornado watch out until about 10 p.m. Central Time for all the counties you see right here in extreme eastern areas of Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, and then southern and southwest areas of Missouri. A couple tornadoes are possible. Scattered hail up to 2 inch in diameter or larger. Scattered wind gusts 65 mile per hour. Up to 65 miles per hour are likely. Almost 2.5 million people are in this risk area. Okay, so this is definitely concerning. We make our way to the HRRR model. Let's talk about the model guidance. So we already showed you what's going on right now. It's picking up on this pretty decently. So before we get going, this is in Eastern time. So this is as of 5 p.m. Central time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. So we're going to back it up 1 hour. So in about an hour, okay, we're going to expect some supercell development beginning to mature in eastern Oklahoma. Immediately, these cells will have a tornado risk with them, okay? As we move our way into southern Missouri, northwest Arkansas, look out eastern Oklahoma. Look at these storms, okay? They look discrete to me, which is dangerous. They begin to kind of develop along that Interstate 40 corridor, points south and points north All right, these storms begin to make their way towards the Fort Smith area, the Fayetteville regions. This is around 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Look at these individual cells. This is not good. Very large hail. Of course, you got the damaging wind risk with any severe storm. But man, the tornado threat is serious if these storms get discrete. They really are. At this point, it's about 8 p.m. Central Time, Arkansas, Eastern Oklahoma time, Missouri time. I would bet that you got some tornado warnings ongoing. And this is before the sun sets. So you keep going, and this is around 9 p.m. The sun is fully beginning to set. You got 3, 4, 5 different cells that look dangerous, especially these 3 here. This is not exactly what's going to happen, but in this general area, something is going to happen. You got a pretty nasty cell right in the Missouri, Arkansas state line right up here. Okay, these are basically crossing over the Boston Mountains, the Ozarks regions. This is continuing to kind of ride along Interstate 40. Watch out, Russellville, Fort Smith. These storms continue to surge, and then they start to cluster up a little bit. Around 10 p.m., they're still kind of semi-discrete based off this run of the HRRR model. A big-time tornado threat still ongoing. And just look how active it is in northern Arkansas. It's very active. It's looking like you got a serious tornado threat ongoing right now. Damaging wind threat, very large hail, multiple supercells ongoing. Let's hope this is not the way it plays out. These continue to cross that Highway 65 area, and then I think northeast Arkansas begins to get very active. I'm talking about like Jonesboro. As we get closer to that midnight time frame, really late in the evening, these storms begin to scoot across all of northern Arkansas. Now, this one particular run does not look super dangerous for like southern Missouri, but I'm telling you, you're probably going to have supercells up into southern areas of Missouri also. Okay, just because this model run doesn't show it, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. You keep these going, you get until about midnight, it's storming like crazy in northwest Arkansas. These start to knock on the door. I mean, you even get some storms down here in Little Rock. Okay, we can't ignore it in Little Rock. These start to knock on the door of like Memphis just after midnight or around the midnight or just after time frame. Dyersburg, western Tennessee. There's still clusters of storms back here in northern Arkansas, but this really kind of develops into a big-time damaging wind threat. And then we start to get into the deep south time frame. I'll stop it right here, and we'll continue this on the next frame here of the deep south. But looking at the as far as the updraft helicity swath here, this is what's worrisome. You get this in motion. Look how highlighted it is on this model run of it really showing rotating updrafts in this area right here. In extreme, you got one really alarming looking supercell that's probably going to get going, possibly could get going here in the next hour or two in extreme eastern areas of Oklahoma. Will it develop down here, up here, right into here? Not sure. But you see these areas in reds, even some pinks in here. This is indicating where the HRRR model is saying you are going to have a strong rotating storm. That doesn't mean there's going to be a tornado. It just means this is where this run of the HRRR model is indicating you have the highest bet of some strong rotation with this storm, rotating updrafts. Look right around the Jonesboro area. This is getting a little bit closer to midnight. This is an alarming signal for rotating thunderstorms in northern Arkansas is basically what I'm trying to say. So this certainly looks dangerous for northern Arkansas tonight. It really does. And I know you're not seeing a lot for my folks in like Poplar Bluff, Springfield, but please do not ignore the severe weather threat. It's just one run. That's just one run. That doesn't mean nothing's going to happen up here. We look at the damaging wind threat. As this unfolds into more of a line or a bowing kind of segment line of storms, I think the damaging wind threat really escalates for you folks in like northern to northeast Arkansas, then into Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama. Okay, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But as you can tell, there's pockets of winds exceeding 50 to 60 miles per hour, even pockets of like 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts just east of Memphis. This really turns into a damaging wind threat as these supercells that potentially could get going on this evening really develops into a nasty cluster of storms. So that's it of Arkansas. Please stay safe. Let's talk about the deep south now. So we'll start off, and let's go on and just get this a little bit further in motion. We'll start off around midnight in this frame. We'll cover all of Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, even areas of Georgia in this time frame. So like I said, storms could roll through the Memphis area, damaging winds, even a tornado risk in Memphis. There's still going to be a tornado risk even when these kind of combine into a line of storms. I don't want to just totally say, hey, the tornado threat ends once it gets out of North Arkansas. That's not the case. But you keep this moving, guys, and big time damaging wind threat, I think, moves through Memphis in and around the midnight time frame or just after. For my folks in extreme northern Mississippi, I would really like the Oxford area, the Holly Springs, Tupelo. Definitely a nasty line of storms producing damage winds, large hail. Could be sweeping through. But damaging winds, I think, it's the big threat right now at this point of the night. Okay, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Really intense storms moving through western Tennessee, northern Mississippi. Even clusters of storms ongoing in the Cumberland Plateau, northern sections of Alabama. This continues storming like crazy, even where it's raining already right now in Tennessee. But you really just got a lot of storm action ongoing in Nashville around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We could be getting a lot of heavy rain. Some flash flooding is going to be possible up here in Tennessee. These storms continue. They blast through the Florence, Huntsville, Alabama area where you've already got some nasty weather this afternoon. But these continue, and then they make their way, and we're starting to get, when the sun's beginning to come up at this point, well, it's still about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, so not quite, but the storms are continuing to roll through the Cumberland Plateau. It looks like you're going to have some kind of line of storms up here, and we continue to make our way, and then it could sink southward, but we still got intense weather at 5, 6 a.m. in northern Mississippi ongoing, and I think you could be waking up to some storms in Atlanta for your Thursday morning for sure, and then we start to get into tomorrow. So we look at the tornado threat with this. I mean, and this is kind of what's going on right now. But, well, you keep this rolling here. And like I said, when I was just talking about just outside of Memphis, I really think you're still going to have a tornado risk getting into western Tennessee tonight. Northern Alabama, maybe even, I keep wanting to say northern Mississippi, but then I'll say northern Alabama. Northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, there's still going to be rotation in this line that moves through overnight. So even though these storms lose that structure that favors tornadic activity, I think once you get into the overnight hours, you're still going to be dealing with some nasty weather that could produce a tornado. You're going to be getting nasty weather, damaging winds, but you can still have a risk of a tornado once you get into Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and Alabama tonight, okay? So watch out. You see these you see these colored regions that, the reds, the yellows, especially the pinks. This indicates where the HRR model is saying we're going to have some rotating updrafts in this region. But I'm telling you, the damaging wind threat is definitely high tonight into the wee hours of the morning. I mean, look at this. This is midnight. This is 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I mean, look at this. Look at this line of storms that makes its way through northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, especially the southern half of the counties in Tennessee. You got pockets of 50 to 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts that moves in these areas after midnight tonight. So damaging winds is going to be a big threat. Okay, so you might go to bed tonight, not a whole lot going on in this region, even though we do got storms out there. But you could be woken up in the middle of the night by some pretty intense storms. Okay, so we make our way into tomorrow. All right, there is a slight, we're not going to talk about this. We'll do that tomorrow morning. There is a slight risk of severe weather in the Carolinas and southeast Virginia. Okay, level 2 out of 5. This goes from Columbia, South Carolina, all the way up to almost to Richmond, Virginia. Definitely all the way up to Norfolk, Virginia. It includes Raleigh, Wilmington, Charlotte. Marginal risk extends all the way back into Alabama, all the way up into southern New England. Okay, the tornado risk as of now is a 2% risk. But I'm not going to guarantee it, but I can bet there's going to be a 5% risk of a tornado probably introduced somewhere in northeast North Carolina, southeast Virginia, right up near the surface low that's going to pull in associated with this upper energy. So we'll see, but as of now, there's just that 2% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. I'm going to talk about these other areas in the morning. These other areas, especially southern New England, model guidance is everywhere. So we'll go over all that when we have fresh information. But I do want to mention there is a flooding threat also for tomorrow. Especially, we could end up getting a sneaky, very small, moderate risk up here for the Northeast. We'll talk about that too tomorrow. But I would watch out for some flash flooding up here for certain sections of the Northeast tomorrow. We'll dive into that tomorrow. But let's continue to talk about the severe weather risk. So this is potentially what you're waking up to around 8 a.m. in the Carolinas. I think you're going to have a line of storms from the energy that moves in overnight from Tennessee, from Arkansas to Tennessee, and I think it'll make it all the way to the Carolinas as we're waking up tomorrow morning. This energy that we're waking up to tomorrow morning in the Carolinas and Virginia is going to play a big factor on what kind of severe weather we get tomorrow afternoon. Okay, I really think that this will honestly kill any kind of severe weather threat for a lot of areas. But as this pulls through, this continues. This makes its way into the eastern Carolinas, especially eastern North Carolina, a little bit later. I mean, this is around 11 a.m. I think around mid-late morning, we could get some pretty intense storms around the Sand Hills region, PD region of South Carolina, kind of the Sand Hills region, maybe just east of Fayetteville. I think we could get some pretty bad storms in this region tomorrow late morning. But as you get this clearing, what's going to happen? I want to watch this cluster of storms that develops in the triad of North Carolina. Okay, and then it drifts across basically all of northern North Carolina. Basically, what corridor is that? That is the, what is that? The Interstate 40 corridor. Basically makes its way eastward into this region, moves out of the Greensboro area, heads towards Raleigh. This is surface low up here. This is the cluster of storms. There's a little bit of an open sector. These are the storms that I'm the most concerned about tomorrow as far as the southeast and mid-Atlantic storm threat. It's around 2 p.m., 3 p.m. These cells look dangerous to me. So I think as this energy begins to pull out into the Atlantic, I think these storms will have a chance to drop a tornado or two right before they pull off into the North Atlantic. Y'all remember what happened, I believe, back in May in the Norfolk area? We had that tornado. It dropped a tornado right before it went out to the ocean. This is kind of a similar threat to me, except I think that it's a little bit more, it could be a little bit more high end. So I really want to watch these cells right in here. It all depends on how much the atmosphere recovers. It really does. But these are the cells that are going to be dangerous to me. You know, if you're up here, let's say Roanoke Rapids region, Chesapeake, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Franklin, even Greensville, I'd watch out. I would say Rocky Mount, watch out. Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina. You got to watch. Elizabeth City, okay? You got to be careful of these storms. I really think these are going to be some quick-moving supercells that fly through tomorrow afternoon for this region, and then they head off, and then we could get a couple more lingering cells that could be very strong that affect the Outer Banks tomorrow evening, and then that's it. And then we could be dealing with some rain tomorrow night. But you look at the ingredients, there's a lot of wind energy associated with this. So this is the low-level jet, guys. I mean, we got a low-level jet flying over eastern North Carolina, 40 to 50 knots, southeast Virginia too. So a lot of low-level flow out there mixed in with a lot of mid-level flow. Basically, your kinematics are there for a lot of wind energy and that tornado threat in this area of the country tomorrow. Okay, so you look at the sounding for all of northeast North Carolina, southeast Virginia. You got the tornado. You got this loop in the hodograph right here, which to me screams some fast-moving supercells. Dew points in the low 70s temperatures. I mean, this time of the year, all that normally is working for you. We call that thermodynamics. And you definitely got some veering with height. Okay, down here in the southern portion of the atmosphere right here, you got these wind barbs where the winds are coming due out the south, and then they are turning as you get about, so they're coming out pretty much out the south at the surface, right into here. You see how this wind barb is pointing to the south? Winds are coming out the south. Then you go about 5,000 feet up in the air, and they're coming more so out the almost west-southwest. So they're coming basically out the southwest. So it goes from the south to the southwest. So that's that change. That's that directional shear that we talk about. That puts that spin to the atmosphere. And the quicker it makes that directional shift in a smaller amount of area in the atmosphere, the more intense these updrafts can spin. So you're definitely going to have a tornado threat up in that area. That's all I got, guys. Stay tuned for tomorrow. We'll do this again. We'll talk about, but please be safe tonight in Arkansas and areas of the Mississippi Valley, the Deep South, the Mid-South. Serious, severe weather threat that will unfold over the next several hours. God bless all y'all. Have a great night. Stay safe.